The rain started as just a few drops on the windshield, but within minutes it turned into something much worse. Mayia pulled her old car to the side of the mountain road and gripped the steering wheel tighter. The wipers were barely keeping up, and she could hardly see anything ahead. "Mommy, I'm scared," whispered her 8-year-old daughter Lily from the back seat. Clutching her worn teddy bear, Mayia looked in the rearview mirror and forced a smile. "It's okay, baby, just a little rain. We'll find somewhere safe soon." But Mayia wasn't feeling confident at all. They had been driving for hours, looking for anywhere they could sleep tonight. 3 weeks ago, everything fell apart. First, her husband died suddenly from a heart attack. Then the medical bills started coming. The house they lived in for 6 years was gone. The bank took it. Their savings were gone too. Now they were living in this beat-up Honda, driving from town to town, hoping to find work, hoping to find help. Mayia had called every relative, every friend. Some hung up. Others said they wished they could help, but times were tough for everyone. The thunder crashed so loud that Lily jumped and started crying. Maya's heart broke a little more. This wasn't the life she wanted for her daughter. 3 weeks of sleeping in parking lots, washing up in gas station bathrooms, eating whatever cheap food they could afford. Lily deserved so much better. Lightning lit up the sky like it was daytime for just a second. That's when Mayia saw it, a huge tree falling right across the road ahead of them. She slammed on the brakes, and the car skidded to a stop just 20 feet away from the massive oak tree that now completely blocked their path. "We can't go forward," Mayia said out loud, more to herself than to Lily. She looked behind them. Another tree had fallen across the road back there too during the storm. They were trapped. The rain was coming down harder now, hitting the car roof like stones. Water started leaking through a crack in the passenger side window that Mayia had been meaning to fix for months. Back when fixing things seemed possible. Mayia pulled out her phone. No signal, of course. They were in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by mountains and trees. She looked around desperately. Through the heavy rain, she could barely make out some lights in the distance. Maybe half a mile away, up a dirt road that led to what looked like a farm or ranch. "Listen, Lily," Mayia said, turning around to face her daughter. "We need to walk to that house over there and ask for help, just until the storm stops." Lily nodded, still holding her teddy bear. She had been so brave these past few weeks. Too brave for an 8-year-old. Mayia grabbed their emergency bag, the one with a change of clothes, some crackers, and the last $43 they had in the world. She helped Lily put on her thin jacket, knowing it wouldn't do much good. Against this rain, they stepped out of the car and were soaked immediately. The wind was so strong that Mayia had to hold Lily's hand tight to keep her from falling. Mud splashed up on their legs as they walked along the dirt road toward the lights. With each step, Mayia felt more nervous. What would she say? "How do you ask strangers to help you when you have nothing to offer in return? What if they called the police? What if they thought she was a bad mother for having her child out in weather like this?" But she didn't have a choice. The car was getting colder by the minute, and they couldn't stay trapped on that road all night. The house was bigger than it looked from far away. It was a 2-story farmhouse with a wide front porch. Warm light glowed from several windows, and Mayia could see the outline of someone moving around inside. There were barns and other buildings nearby, and she could hear cattle somewhere in the distance. Even over the storm, Mayia stood at the bottom of the porch steps for a long moment, water dripping from her hair. Lily was shivering beside her. Finally, Mayia took a deep breath and walked up to the front door. She knocked 3 times and waited. Her heart was beating so fast, she thought it might jump out of her chest. What if no one answered? What if they told her to leave? Heavy footsteps came toward the door from inside. Mayia heard a man's voice say something, but couldn't make out the words. Then the porch light came on and the door opened. The man who answered was tall and looked to be in his 30s. He had work clothes on and looked like he had been busy, doing something when they knocked. His face showed surprise, then concern when he saw Mayia and Lily standing there soaked and shivering. "Please," Mayia said quickly before he could say anything. Our car is stuck. Trees fell across the road during the storm. We just need somewhere warm to wait until morning. We won't cause any trouble." The man looked at them for what felt like forever, but was probably only a few seconds. Mayia could see him thinking, trying to decide what to do. Behind him, she heard a young girl's voice asking who was at the door. "Dad, who is it?" The voice called, "Just some folks who need help with." "The storm," the man called back. Then he looked at Mayia again and stepped aside. "Come on in. You're both soaked through." Mayia felt relief wash over her like warm water. "Thank you," she said, her voice shaking a little. "Thank you so much." They stepped into a hallway that felt wonderfully warm and dry. Mayia could smell something cooking, maybe soup or stew. It smelled like home, like the kind of home she used to have. A girl who looked about Lily's age appeared in the hallway. She had long brown hair and curious eyes. She looked at Lily with interest, not fear. "I'm Ryan," the man said, closing the door behind them. "This is my daughter Katie." "I'm Mayia," Mayia replied. "And this is Lily." Katie stepped forward. "Are you okay?" She asked Lily directly. "You look really cold." Lily nodded, but didn't say anything. She was always shy with new people, especially after everything that had happened. "Katie, why don't you get some towels from the bathroom?" Ryan said, "and maybe find some dry clothes that might fit them." As Katie ran upstairs, Ryan led them into a living room with a big stone fireplace. A fire was burning and the room felt warm and safe. Mayia had forgotten what it felt like to be somewhere that felt safe. "Sit down," Ryan said, pointing to chairs near the fire. "I'll get you something hot to drink." Mayia wanted to cry from gratitude, but she held it together. She helped Lily out of her wet jacket and they sat down near the fire. The warmth felt amazing. Katie came back with fluffy towels and some clothes. "These might be too big," she said to Lily. "But they're warm," Ryan returned with 2 mugs of hot chocolate. Mayia wrapped her hands around her mug and felt the warmth spread through her fingers. She watched Lily take a sip and saw her daughter smile for the first time in days. "The storm's supposed to last through tomorrow," Ryan said, sitting down across from them. "Those trees won't be moved tonight. You're welcome to stay here until the road's clear." Mayia looked at this stranger who was being so kind to them, and she felt something she hadn't felt in weeks. Hope. Maybe things would be okay after all. Mayia woke up on the couch feeling confused for a moment. Where was she? Then she remembered the storm, the fallen trees, and Ryan opening his door to 2 strangers. She looked around the living room. Someone had put a soft blanket over her during the night. The fire was still burning low, and morning light was coming through the windows. She could hear voices in the kitchen, Ryan and Katie talking quietly. Mayia checked the time on her phone. 7:30 in the morning. She had slept better than she had in weeks, even on a couch. Lily was still asleep on the other couch, curled up with her teddy bear under another warm blanket. Her daughter looked peaceful for the first time since everything fell apart. Mayia didn't want to wake her, yet Mayia folded her blanket and walked quietly toward the kitchen. She stopped at the doorway when she heard what Ryan was saying. "I don't know, Katie. I want to help them, but we don't really know anything about them." "But Dad, they seem nice. And that little girl, Lily, she's really sad. I can tell." "I know, sweetheart. But remember what happened with your Aunt Linda's friend last year? Sometimes people take advantage of kindness." Mayia felt her stomach drop. She should leave. She should wake up Lily right now and find somewhere else to go. But where? They had nowhere to go. She was about to turn around when Katie spoke again. "This is different, Dad. They're not like that. Lily's mom looks really scared, but not in a bad way. Like when I was scared after Mom died." There was silence for a moment. Mayia felt tears in her eyes. Katie had lost her mother. That explained why it was just Ryan and Katie in this big house. "You're probably right," Ryan said softly. "Your mom always said I worry too much." "She did say that," Katie agreed. "And she also said we should help people when we can." Mayia took a deep breath and walked into the kitchen. Ryan was standing by the stove making eggs, and Katie was setting the table. They both looked up when she entered. Good morning, Ryan said. Did you sleep okay? Better than I have in a long time, Mayia said honestly. Thank you so much for letting us stay. I heard you talking, and I understand if you're worried about us being here. We can leave as soon as Lily wakes up? Ryan looked surprised. You heard that? I didn't mean to listen, I was just coming to thank you. Mayia looked down at her hands. You've already done more for us than anyone else has. Katie walked over to Mayia. We don't want you to leave, do we, Dad? Ryan studied Maya's face for a long moment. How long have you been living in your car? Mayia felt her cheeks get hot. She didn't want to lie, but she was embarrassed. 3 weeks. What happened? Ryan asked gently. Mayia sat down at the kitchen table. The whole story came out. Her husband's sudden death, the medical bills, losing their house, having nowhere to go. She tried not to cry while she talked, but tears came anyway. I had a good job at the bank, she said. But when David died, I missed too much work dealing with everything. They had to let me go. I tried to find something else, but everyone wants references, and I don't have anyone who can vouch for me anymore. Katie sat down next to Mayia and put her small hand on her arm. I'm sorry about your husband. Thank you, sweetheart. Ryan poured Mayia a cup of coffee and sat down across from her. My wife died 2 years ago. Cancer. I know it's not the same situation, but I know how hard it is to lose the person you thought you'd grow old with. Mayia looked at Ryan with new understanding. Katie mentioned her mom last night. I'm so sorry. Some days are harder than others, Ryan said, but we get by. Just then, Lily appeared in the kitchen doorway, still holding her teddy bear. Her hair was messy from sleep as she looked around nervously. Good morning, Lily, Katie said brightly. Are you hungry? My dad makes really good pancakes. Lily looked at Mayia, who nodded. It's okay, baby. Mr. Ryan is making breakfast for all of us. I can help, Lily said quietly. I'd love that, Ryan said. Katie can show you where everything is. Mayia watched as Katie took Lily's hand and showed her how to help mix the pancake batter. For the first time in weeks, Lily was acting like a normal kid instead of someone carrying the weight of the world. While the girls worked together, Ryan sat back down with Mayia. The roads probably won't be clear until tomorrow, he said. The county has to bring special equipment to move trees that big, Mayia nodded. We'll figure something out. Maybe we can walk to town. It's 15 miles to town, Ryan said. And, there's another storm coming tonight. Mayia felt panic rising in her chest. They couldn't stay another night. It was too much to ask of these people. Listen, Ryan said, lowering his voice so the girls couldn't hear. I can see you're proud and you don't want to be a burden, but look at them. Mayia looked over at Katie and Lily, who were giggling together as they flipped pancakes. Katie was showing Lily how to make the pancakes perfectly round, and Lily was actually laughing. Katie hasn't had a friend over in months, Ryan continued. She's been so lonely since her mom died. And Lily seems like a sweet kid who's been through too much. She has been through too much, Mayia agreed quietly. So stay, at least until the roads are clear. Let the girls have a normal day together. Let yourself have a break from worrying about where you'll sleep tonight. Mayia wanted to say yes more than anything. But she also knew how these things worked. People were kind at first, but then they got tired of helping. She and Lily would just end up disappointed again. What if we stayed, but I worked for you? Mayia suggested. I could clean, cook, help around the ranch. I'm not looking for charity, Ryan thought about it. I could use help around here. I've been doing everything myself since my wife died, and it's been hard to keep up. I'm a good cook, Mayia said. And I know how to clean and do laundry. I took care of everything at home when David was working. Dad, look! Katie called out. Lily made a pancake that looks like a flower. Both Mayia and Ryan looked over. Lily was beaming with pride, showing off her creation. Mayia hadn't seen her daughter smile that big since before David died. Okay, Ryan said quietly. But just until you figure out your next step. I don't want either of us to get too comfortable with this arrangement. Mayia felt relief flood through her. Thank you, you won't regret this. But as she watched Katie and Lily worked together and saw how relaxed Ryan looked for the first time since they'd arrived. Mayia wondered if maybe this could be more than just a temporary solution. Maybe, just maybe, they had all found something they didn't even know they were looking for. Ryan seemed to be thinking the same thing, because he was watching the girls with a soft expression Mayia hadn't seen on his face before. "Breakfast is ready," Katie announced as they all sat down together around the kitchen table. Mayia realized this was the first real family meal they'd had since David died. And for the first time in months, the future didn't seem quite so scary. 3 days had passed since the storm, and Mayia was starting to feel like she belonged somewhere again. She woke up early each morning, before anyone else, and started coffee. Then she'd make breakfast while Ryan got ready for his work around the ranch. It felt good to have a routine again. This morning was no different. Mayia was scrambling eggs when she heard Ryan's heavy boots coming down the stairs. He always moved quietly, trying not to wake the girls, but those old wooden steps creaked no matter what. "You don't have to get up this early," Ryan said as he walked into the kitchen. "I can make my own breakfast." "I know," Mayia said, not turning around from the stove. "But I want to. It's the least I can do." Ryan poured himself coffee and leaned against the counter. Mayia could feel him watching her as she worked. It made her a little nervous, but not in a bad way. "You're different than most people who ask for help," he said finally. Mayia looked at him over her shoulder. "What do you mean?" "Most people who need something just want to take. You want to give back." Mayia turned back to the eggs. "My grandmother always said that charity should go both ways. The person giving should feel good about helping, and the person receiving should feel good about earning it." Smart woman. "She was," Mayia smiled, remembering. "She raised me after my parents died. Taught me everything about keeping a house and taking care of people." The girls came downstairs together, already dressed and giggling about something. Over the past few days, Katie and Lily had become like sisters. They did everything together, fed the chickens, played in the barn, and stayed up late telling stories. "Morning, Dad," Katie said, giving Ryan a hug. "Morning, Mayia." Maya's heart warmed every time Katie said her name like that. Not Miss Mayia. Or Mrs. Anything. Just Mayia, like she was family. After breakfast, Ryan headed out to check on the cattle. Mayia started her daily routine of cleaning the house. But this wasn't just cleaning, she was putting love into every corner of this place. She had noticed that since Ryan's wife died, the house had become just a place where they ate and slept. There were no fresh flowers, no nice smells coming from the kitchen, no little touches that made a house feel like home. Mayia started small. She found some wildflowers growing near the barn and put them in a mason jar on the kitchen table. She baked bread so the whole house would smell wonderful when Ryan came in for lunch. She organized the mudroom so Ryan's boots and coats had proper places, but the biggest change was in Ryan himself. Mayia noticed that he had been working from sunrise to sunset every single day, barely stopping to eat. He was exhausted, and she could see it wearing on him. "You're going to work yourself to death," Mayia told him one afternoon when he came in covered in mud and looking ready to fall over. "The work doesn't stop just because I'm tired," Ryan said, washing his hands at the kitchen sink. "But you have help now," Mayia said. "What can I do?" Ryan looked at her like she was crazy. "You already do plenty. The house hasn't been this clean and organized since—" He stopped talking, but Mayia knew what he meant. Since his wife died. "I mean outside work," Mayia said. "I grew up on my grandfather's farm. I know how to feed animals and fix fences. I'm stronger than I look." Ryan seemed to think about it. "Actually, there are some things. The vegetable garden has been completely ignored. And the chicken coop needs a good cleaning. Consider it done." That afternoon, Mayia worked in the garden while the girls played nearby. The weeds had taken over completely, but underneath she could see the remains of what had once been a beautiful vegetable garden, tomato plants that just needed support, bean plants that needed weeding, herbs that were still trying to grow despite being neglected. Mayia worked until her back ached and her hands were dirty, but it felt good. It felt like she was helping to bring this place back to life. When Ryan came back from the far pasture that evening, he stopped and stared at the garden. Mayia had cleared half of it and had plants staked and watered. "I can't believe you did all this in one afternoon," he said. "Like I said, I'm stronger than I look." Mayia wiped sweat from her forehead. "Your wife had good taste. This garden has great bones." Ryan was quiet for a moment. "She loved this garden. Spent hours out here every day during growing season." "I can tell," Mayia said softly. "She planted it with love." That night at dinner, Katie was more talkative than usual. "Dad, you look different," she said, serving herself more of Maya's homemade soup. "Different how?" "Happier, like you're not worried all the time." Ryan looked surprised. "I didn't know you noticed that I was worried." "I notice everything," Katie said seriously. "You were getting those lines on your forehead that only showed up when you were really stressed. But they're not as deep anymore." Mayia felt her heart squeeze. This little girl had been watching her father struggle and worry, probably feeling helpless to do anything about it. Having help around here has been nice, Ryan admitted, looking at Mayia. "I forgot what it was like to have someone to share the work with." After dinner, Mayia was washing dishes when Ryan came up beside her with a dish towel. "You don't have to help," Mayia said. "I've got this." "I want to help," Ryan said, echoing her words from that morning. They worked together in comfortable silence for a while. Mayia found herself very aware of Ryan standing next to her. He smelled like hay and soap, and when he reached across her to put a plate away, she felt her cheeks get warm. "Mayia," Ryan said quietly, so the girls couldn't hear from the living room, where they were playing. "I want you to know that having you and Lily here has been good for Katie too. She's been so sad since her mom died, but these past few days she's been more like her old self." "Lily has been happier too," Mayia said. She was starting to think that sad was just how life was going to be from now on. Kids shouldn't have to think about things like that. No, they shouldn't. They finished the dishes and joined the girls in the living room. Katie was teaching Lily how to play checkers, and both girls were completely focused on the game. "You?" "No," Ryan said, settling into his chair. "I keep thinking the roads will be clear tomorrow, and you'll want to move on." Mayia felt her stomach flip. She had been dreading this conversation. "Do you want us to leave?" "No," Ryan said quickly. "I mean, not unless you want to. You said you were looking for work. There's plenty of work here, and Katie loves having Lily around." "What kind of arrangement are you thinking?" Mayia asked carefully. "I don't know," Ryan admitted. "I just know that this feels right. All of us here together. It feels like a family again." Mayia looked at their daughters, heads bent together over the checkerboard, completely happy and content. Then she looked at Ryan, this good man who had opened his home to strangers and was offering them a chance at a real life. "It does feel like family," Mayia agreed softly, "and for the first time since David died." Mayia began to believe that maybe they really could build something beautiful from all the broken pieces of their lives. Mayia was folding laundry in the living room when she heard the rumble of the county truck outside. Her heart sank. She knew what that sound meant. They had finally come to clear the fallen trees from the road. Through the window, she watched the big truck with its crane attachment work to move the massive oak tree that had trapped them here a week ago. A week that had changed everything. Lily and Katie were upstairs in Katie's room, playing with dolls and completely unaware that their time together might be ending. Mayia envied them their innocence. She had been dreading this moment for days. The truck finished its work and drove away, leaving the road clear and open. Mayia stared at that empty road for a long time, knowing she should feel relieved. Now they could leave. Now they could continue their journey to somewhere else, anywhere else, but she didn't feel relieved. She felt scared. Ryan came in through the back door, his boots heavy on the kitchen floor. Mayia could tell by the sound of his steps that he had seen the truck too. He walked into the living room and stood next to her at the window, both of them looking out at the clear road. "So," he said quietly, "I guess you'll be wanting to get back on the road." Mayia felt her throat tighten. "I guess so." But neither of them moved. They just stood there, looking out at the road that would take Mayia and Lily away from this place that had started to feel like home. "Where will you go?" Ryan asked. Mayia had been asking herself the same question for days. "I don't know. Maybe head south where it's warmer, find a town where I can get work." "What kind of work?" "Anything. Waitressing, cleaning houses, working in stores. I'm not picky." Ryan was quiet for a moment. Then he said something that surprised her. "What if you didn't have to leave?" Mayia turned to look at him. "What do you mean?" Ryan ran his hand through his hair, something Mayia had noticed he did when he was nervous. "I mean, what if you stayed here, permanently?" Mayia felt her heart start beating faster. "Ryan, we can't just live here for free. That's not fair to you." "Not for free," Ryan said quickly. "As a job, a real arrangement." "What kind of arrangement?" Ryan walked over to his chair and sat down heavily. Mayia could see him thinking, trying to find the right words. "Katie needs a mother figure," he said finally. "And I need help running this place. You've seen how much better everything runs when there are two adults sharing the work." Mayia sat down on the couch across from him. "What exactly are you saying?" "I'm saying your daughter needs a home and my girl wants a mama." The words came out in a rush, like he had been practicing them. "And maybe we could help each other." Mayia stared at him. "You want me to be Katie's mother?" "Not replace her mother," Ryan said quickly. "Nobody could do that. But be there for her. Take care of her. Love her like she deserves to be loved." Mayia felt tears starting in her eyes. "And Lily?" "Lily would have a father figure. And a sister. And a home where she never has to worry about where she sleep or what she eat." It sounded too good to be true. Mayia had learned to be suspicious of things that sounded too good to be true. "What would people think?" she asked. "A woman and her child moving in with a single man?" "I don't care what people think," Ryan said. "Do you?" Mayia thought about it. A month ago she might have cared. But sleeping in a car for 3 weeks had a way of changing your priorities. "What about us?" she asked quietly. "What would we be? To each other?" Ryan looked uncomfortable. "I don't know. Partners, I guess. People raising kids together, and that's all?" Ryan met her eyes. "What else would you want it to be?" Mayia felt heat rise in her cheeks. She had been feeling something for Ryan for days now, but she hadn't let herself think about it too much. It seemed wrong somehow when she was depending on his kindness. "I don't know," she said honestly. "I'm still grieving my husband." "And you're still grieving your wife?" "Maybe we both need time to figure out what we want." "Maybe we do," Ryan agreed. "But that doesn't mean we can't help each other while we figure it out." Mayia heard footsteps on the stairs. The girls were coming down. She and Ryan both turned toward the sound, and Mayia saw something in Ryan's face that made her heart skip. When he looked at Lily coming down those stairs, he looked at her the same way he looked at Katie, like she was his daughter too. "Mayia!" Lily called out as she reached the bottom of the stairs. "Katie's mom had a sewing machine, and Katie is going to teach me how to make clothes for my teddy bear." "That sounds wonderful, baby," Mayia said, trying to keep her voice normal. Katie appeared behind Lily. "Dad, can we use Mom's sewing box? It's in the closet in your room." Mayia saw Ryan's face change slightly. She knew that closet probably held a lot of memories he wasn't ready to deal with. "Of course," he said. "Whatever you need." After the girls went back upstairs with the sewing box, Ryan and Mayia sat in silence for a while. "That was hard for you," Mayia said. "Letting them use her things." "A little," Ryan admitted. "But also good. Those things should be used by children. Who will love them? My wife would have wanted that." Mayia felt a warmth spread through her chest. This man was so good, so generous, even with his grief. "Can I ask you something?" Mayia said. "Why are you really offering this? You could hire anyone to help around here. You could find someone to help with Katie who doesn't come with their own child." Ryan was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was soft. "Because in 1 week, you've brought this house back to life. You've made Katie laugh more than she has in 2 years. You've made me remember what it's like to have a partner. Instead of carrying everything alone," he paused. "And because when I watch you with Lily, I see the kind of mother I want Katie to have." Mayia felt tears spill over. And when I watch you with Katie, I see the kind of father I want Lily to have. So we're both getting something we need, Ryan said. Yes, but what if it doesn't work? What if we drive each other crazy? What if the girls get attached and then everything falls apart? Then we'll figure it out as we go, Ryan said. But what if it does work? What if we can build something good here for all of us? Mayia looked around the living room, at the flowers she had picked that morning, at the pictures on the mantel of Ryan's wife, who looked kind and would probably want her daughter to be happy, at the toys scattered around from where the girls had been playing. This place already felt more like home than anywhere she had lived since David died. Okay, she said quietly, let's try it. Ryan's face broke into a smile, the first real smile she had seen from him. Really? Really, but we take it slow. We figure out the boundaries. And we remember that the girls come first, no matter what. Agreed, Ryan said. From upstairs, they could hear Katie and Lily giggling together, completely happy and unaware that the adults had just made a decision that would change all their lives forever. 2 weeks had passed since Mayia and Ryan made their agreement, and they were still figuring out how to make it work. Some days were easier than others. Mayia stood at the kitchen sink, washing the breakfast dishes when she heard Ryan's truck pull up outside. He was back from taking the girls to school in town. This was part of their new routine. Ryan handled the school runs while Mayia took care of the house and helped with ranch work in the afternoons. The front door opened and closed, and Ryan's boots echoed in the hallway. Mayia had learned to read his moods by the sound of his footsteps. Today they sounded tired and a little frustrated. How was the drive? Mayia asked when he walked into the kitchen. Fine, Ryan said, but his voice said otherwise. He poured himself coffee and sat down at the kitchen table with a heavy sigh. Mayia dried her hands and sat down across from him. What's wrong? Ryan looked uncomfortable. Nothing serious. Just ran into Mrs. Henderson at the school. Mayia knew. Mrs. Henderson? She was Katie's teacher and apparently the biggest gossip in town. Mayia had been dreading this conversation. What did she say? She asked a lot of questions about you and Lily, where you came from, how long you're planning to stay, whether we single quotes quote. Ryan's face got red, whether we're romantically involved. Mayia felt her stomach twist. What did you tell her? I told her it wasn't any of her business, Ryan said firmly, but I could see her wheels turning. By lunchtime, half the town will be talking about the mysterious woman living at my ranch. Mayia pushed down the panic rising in her chest. She had known this day would come. Maybe Lily and I should leave. I don't want to cause problems for you and Katie. No, Ryan said quickly. I don't care what people say. Katie is happier than she's been in 2 years. That's what matters. But what if it affects Katie at school? What if the other kids say things? Ryan reached across the table and put his hand over hers. It was the first time he had touched her like that, and Mayia felt a warm jolt run up her arm. We'll deal with it together, he said. That's what partners do, partners. Mayia liked the sound of that word. After Ryan left to check on the cattle, Mayia threw herself into her work. She was getting better at the ranch chores. Today she was cleaning the chicken coop and collecting eggs. The chickens had stopped being afraid of her, and some of them even seemed to like her. She was carrying a basket of fresh eggs back to the house when she saw a car coming up the driveway. A fancy car that definitely didn't belong to anyone who lived around here. Maya's heart started pounding. She recognized that car. It belonged to her former in-laws. David's parents, Margaret and Robert Mitchell, stepped out of their shiny sedan, looking around the ranch like they had stepped onto another planet. Margaret was wearing a designer dress and heels that were completely wrong for walking on dirt and gravel. Robert was in an expensive suit that probably cost more than Mayia used to make in a month. Mayia, Margaret said, her voice cold as ice. We need to talk. Mayia set down the basket of eggs, her hands shaking slightly. How did you find me? It wasn't easy, Robert said. We hired a private investigator. Imagine our surprise when we learned our granddaughter is living on some ranch in the middle of nowhere with strangers. They're not strangers, Mayia said, trying to keep her voice steady. And Lily is fine. She's happy here. Margaret looked around at the ranch buildings, the animals, the wide open spaces. Her face showed exactly what she thought of it all. This is no place for a child, she said. Lily should be in the city, going to good schools, having proper opportunities. She's going to school, Mayia said. A very good school. And she's making friends and learning about responsibility and hard work. Living in poverty, you mean? Robert said harshly. Look at yourself, Mayia. You're dressed like a farmhand, living with some man you barely know. This isn't the life our son would have wanted for his daughter? Mayia felt anger rise in her chest. Don't you dare tell me what David would have wanted. You never approved of me when he was alive, and you certainly don't get to judge my choices. Now, we're not judging, Margaret said, though her tone said otherwise. We're offering help. Come back to the city with us. We'll get you a nice apartment, help you find a proper job. Lily can go to private school and have the advantages she deserves. And what's the catch? Mayia asked, because she knew there had to be one. Robert and Margaret exchanged a look. We think it would be best if Lily came to live with us for a while, Margaret said. Just until you get back on your feet. There it was. Mayia felt like she had been punched in the stomach. You want to take my daughter away from me? Temporarily, Robert said, until you can provide a stable home environment. This is a stable home environment, Mayia said, her voice getting louder. Lily has her own room, good food, people who love her, and a routine that makes her feel safe. She has a mother who's playing house with a stranger, Margaret said cruelly. What happens when this little fantasy ends? What happens when this man gets tired of playing daddy to someone else's child? Mayia felt tears start, but she refused to let them fall. Not in front of these people. Ryan isn't playing at anything, she said. He cares about Lily, and I'm not playing house. I'm building a life for my daughter. A life that depends entirely on the charity of a man you've known for 3 weeks. Robert pointed out. Before Mayia could respond, she heard the rumble of Ryan's truck coming back up the driveway. A minute later, he appeared around the corner of the house, took one look at the situation, and walked straight over to stand next to Mayia. Is there a problem here? He asked, his voice calm but with an edge to it. Margaret looked Ryan up and down, clearly unimpressed with his work clothes and dusty boots. You must be the rancher. We're Lily's grandparents. We've come to discuss her living situation. From what I can see, her living situation is just fine, Ryan said. With respect, Robert said, though his tone had no respect in it. This is a family matter. It doesn't concern you. Mayia and Lily are part of my family now, Ryan said firmly. So yes, it concerns me very much. Mayia felt a rush of gratitude and something else, something that felt a lot like love. Margaret's eyes narrowed. How convenient, a ready-made family for a lonely widower. That's enough, Mayia said, finding her voice again. You need to leave now. We're not giving up, Robert warned. Lily deserves better than this, and we have the resources to prove it in court if necessary. After they drove away, Mayia sank down onto the porch steps, shaking all over. Ryan sat down next to her and put his arm around her shoulders. They can't take her, he said quietly. You're a good mother, and Lily is thriving here. But they have money and lawyers, Mayia said. What if they're right? What if I'm being selfish keeping her here? Look at me, Ryan said, turning her face toward his. You are not selfish. You're giving Lily something no amount of money can buy, a mother who loves her and the family who wants her. When the school bus dropped off Katie and Lily that afternoon, both girls were full of stories about their day. They had no idea their whole world had almost been turned upside down that night. As Mayia tucked Lily into bed, her daughter looked up at her with serious eyes. Mama, are we going to stay here forever? Maya's heart clenched. Would you like to stay here forever? Yes, Lily said without hesitation. Katie is my best friend, and Ryan teaches me things, and this feels like home. Then we'll stay, Mayia promised, hoping she could keep that promise, but as she turned off the light and closed Lily's door, Mayia couldn't shake the feeling that their fight was just beginning. Mayia was hanging laundry on the line behind the house when she saw the second car coming up the driveway. Her heart sank. She had been hoping for a few peaceful days after the visit from Lily's grandparents, but it looked like their troubles were just beginning. This car was different from the Mitchells' fancy sedan. It was a practical silver car, and Mayia recognized it immediately. It belonged to Helen and Charles Brooks, Ryan's former in-laws. Katie's maternal grandparents. Mayia quickly finished hanging the last shirt and hurried toward the house. She found Ryan in the barn fixing a broken stall door. The sound of hammering echoed in the space. "Ryan," Mayia called out. "Your in-laws are here?" Ryan stopped hammering and looked up. Mayia could see the tension immediately settle into his shoulders. "The Brooks?" he asked, setting down his hammer. "Yes, they just pulled up." Ryan ran his hand through his hair, something Mayia had learned he did when he was stressed. "I wonder what they want. They usually call first." They walked toward the house together, and Mayia could see Helen and Charles getting out of their car. Helen was a tall, thin woman with perfectly styled gray hair. Charles was shorter and stockier, wearing a serious expression that reminded Mayia of a judge. "Ryan," Helen called out as they approached. Her voice was polite but cold. "We need to speak with you, privately." Mayia started to step away, but Ryan caught her arm gently. "Whatever you have to say, you can say in front of Mayia. She's part of this family now." Helen's eyebrows went up. "Is she really? Because from what we've heard around town, she's just some homeless woman you took in out of pity." Mayia felt her face burn with embarrassment, but Ryan's jaw tightened with anger. "Watch your tone," he said firmly. "Mayia is here because Katie and I both want her here." "Speaking of Katie," Charles said, "where is our granddaughter?" "We'd like to see her. She's at school," Ryan replied. "Where she should be on a Tuesday afternoon." "Yes, about that," Helen said, opening her purse and pulling out some papers. "We've been thinking a lot about Katie's education and future. The school here is adequate, we suppose, but Katie is a bright girl. She deserves better opportunities." Mayia watched Ryan's face carefully. She could see him trying to stay calm. "Katie is doing well in school," he said. "Her teacher says she's one of the best students in her class. But what about her future?" Charles asked. "What about college preparation? What about exposure to culture and the arts?" "She's 9 years old," Ryan said. "She has plenty of time for all that." Helen stepped closer. "Ryan, we know you're doing your best. But since our daughter died, we've been thinking that maybe Katie would be better off with us. At least during the school year." Mayia felt her heart stop. This was exactly what she had feared might happen. "You want to take Katie away from me?" Ryan's voice was quiet, but Mayia could hear the danger in it. "Not permanently," Helen said quickly. "Just for school. She could spend summers with you, of course. But during the school year, she could live with us in the city, go to private school, take piano lessons, have opportunities she can't get out here." "And what brought this on all of a sudden?" Ryan asked, though Mayia suspected they all knew the answer. Charles cleared his throat. "We heard about your living situation. Having an unmarried woman and her child living in your house. It's not appropriate, Ryan. What kind of example does that set for Katie?" "The example it sets," Ryan said, his voice getting louder, "is that people help each other. That families can come in different forms. That when someone needs help, you don't turn them away." "But what happens when this arrangement falls apart?" Helen asked. "What happens when this woman decides to move on?" "Katie will be heartbroken all over again." Mayia couldn't stay quiet anymore. "I'm not going anywhere," she said firmly. "And I'm standing right here so you can talk to me directly instead of about me." Helen turned to look at Mayia with obvious disapproval. "You have your own daughter to worry about. Why would you want to take on someone else's child?" "Because I love Katie," Mayia said simply. "Because she makes my daughter happy, and because she needs someone to love her the way her mother would want her to be loved." "You think you can replace our daughter?" Charles asked, his voice harsh. "I would never try to replace her," Mayia said. "But Katie needs a mother figure in her life, and I'm honored to be that person." Helen laughed, but it wasn't a kind sound. "Honored? You're living here for free, getting food and shelter for you and your child. Don't pretend this is about honor." Ryan stepped forward, his face dark with anger. "That's enough. Mayia works harder than anyone I know. She earns her place here every single day." "By doing what? Housework, cooking?" "Those aren't exactly valuable skills in today's world," Helen said dismissively. "Those are the skills that make a house a home," Ryan shot back. "Something this place hadn't been since your daughter died, until Mayia came along." "How dare you?" Charles said, his face turning red. "Our daughter made this a home." "You're right, she did," Ryan said, his voice softer now. "And she would want Katie to grow up in a home, not be shuttled back and forth between houses like a piece of luggage." Helen pulled out more papers from her purse. "We've been researching this, Ryan. We have rights as grandparents. And we have resources. If we need to go to court to protect Katie's best interests, we will." Mayia felt the world spinning around her. First Lily's grandparents, now Katie's. It felt like everyone wanted to tear their family apart just as they were starting to become whole. "Katie is happy here," Ryan said desperately. "She's thriving. Why would you want to change that?" "Because this isn't a real family," Helen said bluntly. "It's a temporary arrangement that's confusing for Katie. She needs stability and proper guidance." Just then, they heard the school bus coming down the road. Maya's heart raced. Katie and Lily would be home any minute, and they would walk into this awful scene. "You need to leave," Ryan said firmly. "Now, before the girls get home." "We're not giving up on this," Charles warned as they walked back to their car. "Katie deserves better than this makeshift family." After they drove away, Ryan and Mayia stood in the driveway, watching the dust settle. Neither of them spoke until they heard the school bus door open and close, and saw Katie and Lily walking up the driveway, backpacks bouncing, talking and laughing together. "Did we see Grandma Helen's car?" Katie asked as she got closer. Mayia and Ryan exchanged glances. "They stopped by for a quick visit," Ryan said carefully. "But they had to leave before you got home." Katie looked disappointed. "I wanted to show them the drawing I made in art class." "I'm sure you'll see them again soon," Mayia said. Though she hoped that wasn't true, that night, after the girls were asleep, Mayia and Ryan sat at the kitchen table, both lost in their own thoughts. "What are we going to do?" Mayia asked quietly. "I don't know," Ryan admitted. "But I know one thing. I'm not letting anyone take Katie away from me. And I'm not letting anyone take Lily away from you. What if we can't stop them? What if they really do have legal rights?" Ryan reached across the table and took her hand. "Then we'll fight. Together like a real family would." Mayia squeezed his hand, drawing strength from his touch. But deep down, she was terrified. They were just two people trying to build something good, and it felt like the whole world was against them. Maya's hands shook as she opened the certified letter that had arrived that morning. She had been dreading this moment for 2 weeks, ever since both sets of grandparents had visited. The official legal paperwork was cold and frightening, full of words like petition for custody and temporary guardianship. Ryan found her sitting at the kitchen table, staring at the papers with tears in her eyes. "They really did it," Mayia whispered. "Both families. They're taking us to court." Ryan sat down beside her and took the papers from her trembling hands. His face grew darker as he read through the legal documents. The Mitchells were claiming Mayia was an unfit mother due to her period of homelessness. The Brooks were arguing that Katie needed a more stable environment than what they called an inappropriate living arrangement. "We need a lawyer," Ryan said. Quietly. "With what money?" Mayia asked, feeling hopeless. "I have $43 to my name, and you've already spent so much helping us." "I'll figure something out," Ryan said. But Mayia could hear the worry in his voice. The next few days were a blur of phone calls and meetings. Ryan found them a lawyer in town, an older woman named Patricia Williams who had handled family cases for 30 years. She was kind but realistic about their situation. "I won't lie to you," she told them during their first meeting. "This is going to be difficult. Both families have significant financial resources and experienced attorneys. But we have something they don't have." "What's that?" Mayia asked. "We have the truth." And we have 2 little girls who are happy and thriving. The hardest part was deciding whether to tell Katie and Lily what was happening. Mayia and Ryan went back and forth about it for days. They have a right to know, Ryan argued one evening after the girls had gone to bed. And if this goes to court, they might be asked to speak to a judge. Mayia felt sick at the thought. They're just children. They shouldn't have to deal with this. But they're smart children, Ryan pointed out. They already know something is wrong. Katie asked me yesterday why I've been so quiet lately. They decided to tell them together, keeping it simple and reassuring. The next afternoon, they sat both girls down in the living room. We need to talk to you about something important. Mayia began, trying to keep her voice steady. Katie and Lily exchanged worried glances. Kids always knew when adults were about to tell them something serious. Remember when your grandparents visited? Ryan asked Katie, and when Lily's grandparents came too? Both girls nodded. Well, they think you might be happier living with them. Instead of here with us, Mayia explained gently. Katie's face went pale. But I don't want to live with Grandma Helen and Grandpa Charles. I want to live here with you and Mayia and Lily. And I want to live here too, Lily said, moving closer to Mayia on the couch. This is our home. We know that, Ryan said, pulling Katie onto his lap. And we're going to fight to keep our family together. But there might be a time when you have to talk to a judge and tell them how you feel. A real judge? Katie asked, her eyes wide. A real judge, Mayia confirmed. But don't worry. We'll be right there with you, and all you have to do is tell the truth about how you feel. Will they really make us leave? Lily asked in a small voice. Mayia felt her heart break. We're going to do everything we can to make sure that doesn't happen. The court date was set for 3 weeks later. Those 3 weeks felt like the longest of Maya's life. She threw herself into preparing their case, gathering letters from Katie's teacher about how well she was doing in school, from their doctor, about how healthy both girls were. From neighbors who had witnessed their family life, Ryan did the same, documenting everything from their daily routines to the girls' chores and activities. He even took photos of their bedrooms, their artwork on the refrigerator. The garden Mayia had restored, but the most powerful evidence came from an unexpected source. One evening, Mayia found Katie and Lily in Katie's room working on something. Together at the desk? When she got closer, she saw they were writing letters. What are you working on? Mayia asked. Letters to the judge, Katie said seriously. Patricia said we might not get to talk to him for very long, so we wanted to write down everything we want him to know. Maya's eyes filled with tears as she read over their shoulders. Katie had written in her careful 9-year-old handwriting, Dear Judge, my name is Katie and I want to stay with my dad and Mayia and Lily. Mayia makes the best pancakes and helps me with my homework. She reads me stories at night just like my mom used to. Lily is like my sister now and we take care of each other. My dad smiles again when Mayia is here. Please don't make us leave our family. Lily's letter was shorter, but just as heartfelt. Dear Judge, I love living here. Ryan teaches me about animals and Mayia doesn't have to worry about where we will sleep anymore. Katie is my best friend. We are happy here. Please let us stay. Mayia had to leave the room to compose herself. These children understood exactly what was at stake, and they were fighting for their family in their own way. The night before the court hearing, Mayia couldn't sleep. She found herself standing in the kitchen at 2 a.m, making tea and trying to calm her nerves. Ryan appeared in the doorway, also unable to sleep. What if we lose? Mayia asked, voicing the fear that had been haunting her for weeks. We won't lose, Ryan said, but she could hear the uncertainty beneath his confident words. But what if we do? What if they decide that money and private schools are more important than love? Ryan came over and wrapped his arms around her. It was the first time he had held her like this, and Mayia felt some of the tension leave her body. Then we'll appeal, he said. We'll keep fighting until we find a judge who understands what family really means. Mayia leaned into his warmth. When did this become so important to you? When did Lily and I stop being charity cases and become family? Ryan was quiet for a moment. I think it was the morning I woke up and heard you singing in the kitchen while you made breakfast. The house felt alive again. And when I saw how Katie looked at you, like you were the answer to prayers, she didn't even know she was praying. And when did you stop being just a kind stranger to me? Mayia asked softly. Probably the day you yelled at me for working too. Hard, Ryan said with a quiet laugh. No one had cared enough to worry about me like that since my wife died. They stood there in the dark kitchen, holding each other and gathering strength for the battle ahead. The morning of the hearing dawned gray and cold. Mayia dressed carefully in her best outfit, a simple dress Ryan had bought her for the occasion. The girls were quiet but brave as they got ready for school. Patricia had arranged for them to be excused from classes if they were needed to testify. As they drove to the courthouse, Mayia reached over and took Ryan's hand. Whatever happened today, they would face it together. They had become something. Neither of them had expected when she first knocked on his door during that storm. They had become partners, and maybe something even more important than that, they had become a family worth fighting for. The courthouse was intimidating with its tall columns and marble floors that echoed with every footstep. Mayia held Ryan's hand tightly as they walked through the metal detectors. Her heart was beating so fast she thought everyone could hear it. Patricia Williams met them in the hallway outside the courtroom. She looked professional and confident in her dark suit, carrying a briefcase full of evidence supporting their case. Remember, she told them quietly, be honest, be yourselves, and trust that the truth will come through. Inside the courtroom, Mayia saw both sets of grandparents sitting with their expensive lawyers. The Mitchells were dressed like they were attending a business meeting, and the Brooks wore expressions of grim determination. None of them looked at Mayia or Ryan. Judge Martinez was a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and graying hair. She reviewed the files in front of her for several minutes before speaking. This is an unusual case, she began. We have two separate custody petitions regarding two different children, but involving the same household. I want to understand the living situation before we proceed. Maya's lawyer presented their case first. She showed photos of the ranch, letters from teachers and doctors, and documentation of the girls' happiness and health. She called Ryan to testify about how Mayia had become part of their family. Your Honor, Ryan said, his voice steady despite his nervousness, Mayia didn't just move into our house. She brought it back to life. My daughter was struggling with grief and loneliness. Now she laughs every day. She has a friend, a sister, and a mother figure who loves her unconditionally. And what about Lily? The judge asked. Lily has blossomed here, Ryan continued. She was scared and uncertain when she arrived. Now she's confident and happy. She helps with chores, she's doing well in school, and she's part of a family that will never let her go. When it was Maya's turn to testify, her hands shook as she walked to the witness stand. Tell me about your relationship with Katie, Judge Martinez said gently. I love her like she's my own daughter, Mayia said, her voice growing stronger. Not to replace her mother, but to give her the love and guidance every child deserves. She calls me Mayia, not Mom, and that's perfect. She knows who her mother was, and she knows I'm here to love her and support her. The grandparents' lawyers tried to paint Mayia as unstable and their arrangement as temporary and inappropriate. They talked about money and opportunities and proper education. Then it was time for the girls to speak. Katie walked to the witness stand with her head held high. She looked small in the big chair, but her voice was clear and strong. Katie, Judge. Martinez said kindly, can you tell me about your life at the ranch? It's the best life, Katie said simply. Mayia takes care of me and Lily. She helps with my homework and makes me feel safe. Lily is like my sister. We share everything and take care of each other. Daddy is happy again, and our house feels like a home. Do you miss your grandparents? The judge asked. I love them, Katie said carefully, but I don't want to live with. Though they live in the city and I like the ranch. I like taking care of animals and having space to run. And I don't want to be separated from Lily and Mayia. What if you could visit your grandparents during school breaks? Katie's face brightened. That would be nice. But I want to live at home with my family. When Lily took the stand, Mayia held her breath. Her daughter looked so small and serious. Lily? The judge said, Are you happy living at the ranch? Yes, Lily said firmly. Very happy. Katie and Ryan are my family now. Ryan teaches me about cattle and horses. Katie and I play together every day. Mayia doesn't worry anymore about where we'll sleep or what we'll eat. Do you miss your other grandparents? Lily thought about this carefully. I wish they could see that we're happy. But I don't want to live with them. They don't understand that Mayia is a good mama and that we have a real family now. Judge Martinez called a recess to review all the evidence. Mayia, Ryan, and the girls waited in the hallway, trying not to think about what would happen if they lost. Whatever happens, Ryan said quietly, we're going to stay together. We'll find a way. Mayia looked at this man who had become so much more than she ever expected. Somewhere along the way, between the daily routines and shared worries and quiet conversations, she had fallen in love with him. And she could see in his eyes that he felt the same way when they returned to the courtroom. Judge Martinez looked serious as she prepared to deliver her decision. I've considered all the evidence and testimony, she began. Both sets of grandparents clearly love these children and want what's best for them. However, my responsibility is to determine what truly serves the children's best interests. Mayia felt Ryan reach for her hand. What I see here, the judge continued, is two children who have found stability, love, and happiness in an unconventional but clearly functional family. Katie and Lily are thriving academically, emotionally, and socially. They have expressed clearly and maturely their desire to remain in their current home. Maya's heart started to hope. Furthermore, Judge Martinez said, I see two adults who have created a loving, stable environment for these children. The fact that they are not married is irrelevant to their ability to provide good homes for Katie and Lily. The Brooks lawyer started to object, but the judge held up her hand. However, she continued, I do believe these children would benefit from maintaining relationships with their grandparents. Therefore, my ruling is as follows. Katie will remain in the primary custody of her father, Ryan. Lily will remain in the primary custody of her mother, Mayia. Both children will continue to live together at the ranch. Mayia felt tears of relief streaming down her face. The grandparents will have visitation rights, 1 weekend per month and 2 weeks during summer vacation. This will allow the children to maintain those important family relationships while preserving the stability they have found. After all, the paperwork was signed and they were finally outside the courthouse. Mayia and Ryan hugged each other tightly while the girls danced around them with joy. We did it, Ryan whispered in her ear. We're really a family now. 6 months later, Mayia stood in the same living room where she had first warmed up by the fire, but everything was different. She was wearing a simple white dress, and Katie and Lily were beside her in matching blue dresses, holding bouquets of wildflowers from the ranch. Ryan stood at the front of the room in his best suit, looking more handsome than Mayia had ever seen him. The local minister was ready to begin the ceremony, and about 20 of their friends and neighbors had gathered to celebrate. Even some of the grandparents had come. The Brooks had gradually accepted Mayia and begun to see how happy Katie was. The Mitchells were still adjusting, but they were trying. Today, the minister began, we're not just witnessing a marriage. We're celebrating the official beginning of a family that was built on love, determination, and the belief that sometimes the best things come from the most unexpected places. As Mayia and Ryan exchanged vows, promising to love and support each other and their daughters, Mayia thought about that stormy night that had changed everything. She had been looking for shelter, but she had found so much more. She had found home after the ceremony, as they all worked together to prepare a feast for their guests. Mayia watched Ryan teaching some of the neighbor children how to rope fence posts while Katie and Lily served lemonade to everyone. Are you happy? Katie asked, coming up to Mayia with a big smile. Happier than I ever thought possible, Mayia replied, pulling both girls into a hug. The ranch that had once been quiet and sad was now full of laughter and life. The garden Mayia had restored was producing vegetables for their table. The chickens were laying eggs, the cattle were healthy, and the house that had been just a place to sleep had become a real home again. That evening, after all the guests had Gone home, and the girls were finally asleep, Mayia and Ryan sat on the front porch, watching the stars come out over their land. "Do you ever think about that storm?" Ryan asked, pulling Mayia closer to him. "Every day," Mayia said. "Best storm of my life." "Mine too," Ryan agreed. "It brought me everything I didn't know I needed." As they sat together in the peaceful darkness, Mayia realized that sometimes when everything falls apart, it's just making room for something better to begin. And sometimes the very thing that seems like the end of the world is actually the beginning of the life you were always meant to have.